Walter's toolbox was open. Inside, between faded photographs, something was gleaming, a distinguished flying cross. The young pilot froze. Only one kind of man earns this medal: heroes. For 30 years, nobody knew who the quiet mechanic in Hangar 7 really was, but what happened next would change everything. But that's not the shocking part. The shocking part is who this young pilot was, and the 50-year secret that was about to surface. A secret that would connect two families across generations. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Welcome to Still Human. I'm your host, and today's story will shake you to your core. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? We read every single comment and love connecting with our community from across America. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button. These heroes' voices matter. Now let me tell you about Walter Morrison. Walter Morrison, 68 years old, Nellis Air Force Base mechanic. Every morning, 5:45 a.m., black coffee, same route, same desk. For 30 years, the exact same routine. The other mechanics knew him as the quiet guy, reliable, skilled, never talked about his past. But Walter had secrets. Secrets that would explain why he never flinched when jets screamed overhead, why his hands never shook around F-16s, and why in his locker, hidden behind work clothes, sat a box he hadn't opened in decades. But you'll learn about that box later. First, you need to meet the young pilot who would change everything. Lieutenant Marcus Johnson, 26 years old, Top Gun Academy graduate, cocky, confident, zero combat experience. Marcus had grown up hearing war stories from his grandfather, Charlie Roberts, Vietnam veteran. An angel saved me, Grandpa would say, an angel from the sky. Marcus never believed those stories, too dramatic, too Hollywood. But today, Marcus would discover his grandfather wasn't exaggerating. In fact, his grandfather hadn't told him the half of it. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Let me tell you about Marcus's first real F-16 flight. This morning was Marcus's first real F-16 flight, not simulation, real sky, real power. The aircraft had been prepped by Walter. Perfect condition, as always. "Hey, Walter," Marcus called out. "You prepped this beauty?" Walter nodded without looking up. "Yep, incredible work. I can't imagine how these machines actually fly." Walter's hand paused for just a second. Something flickered in his eyes. Memories. Vietnam heat, SAM missiles, Charlie's voice screaming through the radio, but he said nothing. "Good luck out there," Walter muttered. Marcus had no idea he was talking to a man who'd flown 115 combat missions, a man who'd earned his wings in hell, a man who'd saved a life at 200 miles per hour with nothing but courage and a prayer. But you'll learn about that miracle, because what happened when Marcus returned from his flight would unlock 50 years of buried history. Marcus landed 30 minutes later, adrenaline still pumping, first real flight in an F-16. Nothing compared to simulation. He ran to the hangar, looking for Walter. "Walter, where are you?" Found him in the back, working on tools. "Walter, that was incredible! That machine, it's like it's alive!" Marcus kept talking, describing every detail of the flight. Walter listened, nodding, but his eyes were distant. Marcus noticed Walter's toolbox was open. Something caught his eye. Between old photos and worn tools, something was gleaming. A medal. Marcus stepped closer. His heart started racing. Distinguished Flying Cross, one of America's highest aviation awards. Given only for extraordinary heroism. "Walter," Marcus's voice was shaking. Is this yours?" Walter froze. The wrench dropped from his hand. 30 years of secrecy, exposed in one moment. What Walter said next would begin the most incredible revelation of both their lives. But first, you need to understand something about that medal. The Distinguished Flying Cross isn't just any medal. It's given to pilots who display extraordinary heroism while flying. Chuck Yeager earned one. Jimmy Doolittle earned one. The kind of men who legends are written about. And somehow, this quiet mechanic who fixed F-16s in Nevada had earned one too. But how? "Walter," Marcus pressed. "Please, how did you get this medal?" Walter's eyes filled with tears. 50 years of buried memories flooding back. Old times, he whispered. Very old times. But Marcus wasn't giving up. This young pilot sensed something massive was hidden here. Something that would explain why Walter moved like a man who'd seen combat. Why he never flinched around jets. Why his hands held tools like weapons. And Marcus was right, because Walter Morrison wasn't just a mechanic. Walter Morrison was a ghost from America's most controversial war. 1970. Walter began slowly. I wanted to be a pilot. F-4 Phantom training. Vietnam, Marcus whispered. 115 missions. Walter's voice was barely audible. 115 combat flights over North Vietnam. Marcus's jaw dropped. F-4 Phantom. The legendary Vietnam fighter. But this medal, how did you earn it? Walter closed his eyes. November 23rd, 1972. The day that would define his entire life. Reconnaissance mission near Hanoi. Me and my wingman, Charlie Roberts. Charlie was 22, from Texas, about to get married. Walter paused. His voice was shaking now. That day, everything went wrong. But I need to tell you something about Charlie Roberts first. Something that will blow your mind. Something Walter was about to discover that would connect two families across 50 years. Because Marcus Johnson wasn't just any pilot. And Charlie Roberts wasn't just any wingman. But you'll understand why in just a moment. Walter's voice grew stronger as he remembered. 0730 hours, wheels up. Two F-4 Phantoms, Charlie in wingman position. Approaching Hanoi, radar signals started lighting up. SAM missile sites active but not in our path. We took the photos. Mission accomplished. On the way back, Charlie's voice came through the radio. Walter, I'm getting radar warning. I see it too, I said. Stay calm, standard procedure. But it wasn't standard. Suddenly, Charlie's aircraft exploded. SAM missile. I never even saw it coming. Charlie's F-4 was going down in flames. Walter's hands were shaking now. I called on the radio. Charlie, respond! Silence. I followed his aircraft down enemy territory, deep jungle. According to SOPs, I should have returned to base. Called for search and rescue. But Charlie could be wounded or dying. Walter looked directly at Marcus. I made a decision that changed both our lives forever. What Walter did next defied orders, defied logic, and defied death itself. But first, you need to understand what Charlie meant to him. Charlie wasn't just my wingman, Walter continued. He was my brother. We'd trained together for 18 months, eaten together, flew together, bled together. In Vietnam, your wingman is your lifeline. He watches your six, you watch his. Charlie had saved my life twice already. The first time over Da Nang, MiG on my tail. Charlie came out of nowhere, took him down. Second time I took shrapnel in my leg. Charlie talked me through the landing, guided me home. You don't leave your wingman behind, ever. So when I saw Charlie's aircraft go down, when I heard Phantom 07 negative on SAR, area too hot, return to base immediately, I turned off my radio. Marcus gasped. You disobeyed direct orders? I went in alone. What happened next was either the bravest or the craziest thing any pilot had ever attempted. But Walter wasn't finished with his surprises. Because the rescue itself was just the beginning of this story. I found Charlie's crash site. Jungle. Thick canopy. Aircraft wreckage everywhere. Flew low, 200 feet, dangerous as hell. Then I saw it. Smoke signal. Charlie was alive. But there was a problem. Viet Cong patrol moving toward the crash site. No way to land, no open ground. Charlie was trapped. I came up with an insane plan. Fly low and slow. Let Charlie climb onto the aircraft. Marcus's eyes went wide. Onto a moving plane? Only option. I radioed Charlie the plan. Walter, that's suicide, he said. Charlie, you do exactly what I tell you. No other way. I brought the F-4 down to minimum speed, 180 knots. Any slower, we'd stall and crash. First attempt, Charlie couldn't reach. Second attempt, missed again. But that's not the most incredible part of this story. The most incredible part is what Marcus was about to discover about his own family. Charlie was hanging onto my wing at 180 knots. I had to maintain perfect control. Slightest movement could throw him off. We were talking on radio. "Walter," he kept saying, "I can't hold on much longer." "You're gonna hold on, Charlie. Patricia's waiting for you." Patricia, his fiancée. I remembered her name. 10 kilometers in, Charlie's voice got weaker. "Walter, my hands are slipping. You hang on, Charlie. 30 more kilometers." 20 kilometers. Charlie passed out from pain and exhaustion. But he was still holding on. I could see his hands, white-knuckled, gripping the wing. Last 10 kilometers were the hardest. Charlie's grip was failing. I could see base ahead, emergency crews waiting. I made the emergency landing, softest touchdown of my life. They caught Charlie just as his hands gave out. But 3 months later, President Nixon wanted to see me. Distinguished Flying Cross ceremony, my parents were there, most proud day of their lives, and Charlie was there too, on crutches, but standing. "You're my angel," Charlie said. "Angel from the sky." Walter looked at Marcus. That day after the ceremony, Charlie gave me something. What? A photograph. Him and Patricia. And he wrote on the back, "For Walter Morrison, the man who brought me home to my future wife." Charlie got married 6 months later. Patricia Roberts became his wife. I was his best man. Walter paused. That was the last time I saw Charlie Roberts. But Marcus was staring at the old photographs in Walter's toolbox. Something was wrong, very wrong. Or very right. "Walter," Marcus said slowly, "show me that photograph." Walter pulled out the old photo. 2 young pilots, 1972, Charlie and Walter. Marcus looked at it closely. His face went white. "Walter, what?" "This man, this Charlie Roberts." Marcus's voice was shaking. "He's my grandfather." Time stopped in that hangar. "What?" Walter whispered. "This man," Marcus held up the photograph, "is my grandfather, Charlie Roberts." "That's impossible." "No, Walter, it's him. 100% certain." Marcus started crying. "My grandfather told us about a pilot who saved his life in Vietnam. He never remembered the name clearly, but you're that pilot." Walter's knees gave out. He collapsed into a chair. "Charlie, Grandpa told us that story 1,000 times. 'An angel saved me,' he'd say, 'angel from the sky.' And that angel was you." Walter was sobbing now. "Charlie's grandson, here, working next to me. Walter, Grandpa died last month." Walter's heart stopped. "What?" "Heart attack. But his last words—" Marcus was crying harder now. "His last words were, 'Find Walter Morrison.' He looked for you for 50 years, Walter. Every Veterans Day, every Memorial Day. He searched online, called VA hospitals. Never found you." Walter shook his head. "I was hiding. He talked about you every day. Every day, Walter. Grandpa got married, had 3 kids, 6 grandchildren. He told all of us about you. You're our family legend. You're the reason all of us exist." Marcus pulled out his phone. "This is Grandpa's last photo 3 weeks ago. Old man in a hospital bed, smiling, holding something. A 1972 photograph. Walter and Charlie. He never let go of this picture. Every night, find Walter, thank him." Walter stared at the photo of old Charlie. "Charlie, you looked for me?" "Every day," Marcus whispered, "for 50 years. Walter, Grandpa wrote you a letter 20 years ago. But we couldn't find your address." Marcus pulled out an old envelope. Walter Morrison, written in shaky handwriting. Walter opened it with trembling hands. "Dear Walter, I've written this letter 100 times, never sent it, because I can't find you. I'm 75 now. Patricia and I have been married 50 years, 3 children. David, Sarah, Michael, 6 grandchildren. Every day I tell them about you. Walter Morrison, I say. The angel who saved your grandfather. Without you, none of them would exist. Without you, I wouldn't exist. Every day I'm grateful. Do you remember that day, November 23rd, 1972? I was dying, Walter. I knew it. Viet Cong coming. I was wounded. I'd given up hope. Then you came. Like an angel from heaven. Charlie, hold on, you said. I'm taking you home. Those 40 kilometers, longest of my life, but you were with me. Don't let go, Charlie, you kept saying. Patricia's waiting. You remembered Patricia's name, my fiancée's name. That's when I knew. You weren't just saving a pilot, you were saving my whole future. Walter, I think about you every day. I hope you're happy, I hope you're proud. Because you're a real hero. You're my hero. Forever grateful. Charlie Roberts. P.S. When I find you... Walter's face showed shock. I haven't flown in 50 years. A pilot never forgets, Marcus smiled. Grandpa's grandson is asking you. Walter looked at the F-16. Memories flooded back. Vietnam, Charlie, the rescue. I'm ready, Walter said. Tower, this is Eagle 1 and Eagle 2 requesting permission for takeoff. Eagle 1 and 2, you are cleared for takeoff. F-16 accelerating down the runway, Walter in the pilot seat for the first time in 50 years. His hands on the controls, muscle memory returning. Take off! F-16 climbed into the Nevada sky. Walter was going home. 10,000 feet above Nevada. How does it feel, Walter? Like I never stopped flying. Grandpa was right. You really are a pilot. Marcus. Yes, Walter? I have a message for Charlie. Tell me. Tell him... Mission accomplished. Tell him I brought his wingman home. Marcus's voice cracked over the radio. I brought you to him, Walter. He's flying with you now. Walter looked up at the sky. Through the clouds, he could almost see Charlie's smile. Yes, Walter whispered. He's flying with me now. For the first time in 50 years, Walter Morrison was at peace. Not just with his past, but with his future. 3 months later, Nellis Air Force Base. Special ceremony. 500 people gathered, pilots, mechanics, officers, families, all for Walter Morrison. Walter in his dress uniform, first time in 30 years. Medals on his chest. Distinguished Flying Cross prominently displayed. Ladies and gentlemen, General Roberts spoke. Today we honor a man who lived among us for 30 years, a hero who served in silence. Master Sergeant Walter Morrison. 115 combat missions over Vietnam, risked his life to save his wingmen, and served with humility for 3 decades. On behalf of the United States Air Force, we present you with belated honors. Nellis Air Force Base Hall of Honor, first name, Walter Morrison. Standing ovation, 5 minutes. Walter crying, happy tears for the first time in 50 years. Walter approached the microphone. 500 pairs of eyes watching, first time speaking publicly in 30 years. I never liked talking much. Silence. 30 years I stayed quiet, because I was ashamed. Coming home from Vietnam wasn't easy, but today is different. Because I met Marcus Johnson, Charlie Roberts' grandson. He taught me something. Heroism isn't about bragging. Heroism is about not leaving your wingman behind. I saved Charlie, but he saved me too. How? He gave me a reason to live. 50 years later, that reason is...
Walter smiled. Yes, Charlie. Mission complete. I brought you home. Your grandson is safe. Rest in peace now. Walter alone, but not alone anymore. Charlie's memories, family, grandson, all with him. 6 months later, Walter no longer just a mechanic. Nellis Air Force Base guest of honor, teaching young pilots about experience. Being a pilot isn't just about flying, he tells them. Being a pilot is about protecting your wingman, never leaving anyone behind. Marcus, now Walter's student. Walter, what would Grandpa say about you? Real pilots never fly alone, he'd say. He was right, Walter answered. I never flew alone. Charlie was always with me. 1 year later, Walter Morrison, 69 years old, now Nellis Air Force Base legend. His story known across America, books written, movies made. But Walter still humble. I just did my job, he says. Couldn't leave my wingman behind. That's all. But it's not all. This is the true definition of heroism. Quietly, humbly, sacrificially. Walter Morrison's story teaches us. Real heroes don't brag. Real heroes don't talk. Real heroes just do. And sometimes they wait 50 years, not to be recognized, but to be understood. Nellis Air Force Base. Walter and Marcus, standing beside F-16s, sunset. Walter, Marcus says, Grandpa was right. About what? You really are an angel. Walter shakes his head. No, Marcus, just a pilot. But a special pilot. A pilot who never abandons his wingman. Both looking up at the clouds, Charlie's shadow among them, flying in peace. Walter smiling. Yes, Charlie, you finally made it home. Sometimes heroes stay silent for 50 years. But real heroism is never forgotten. Walter Morrison's story shows us that sacrifice is never lost to time. What city are you watching from? Tell us in the comments. We read every single one and love connecting with our viewers across America. If you believe stories like this need to be heard, subscribe to the channel. Every week we share the deepest stories of humanity, because every person has a story.